Using Excel for inferences about two proportions. This video uses two examples. The first example is titled, Proportion of cars with rear license plates only. Are the proportions the same in Connecticut and New York? And the second example is titled, Confidence interval for claim about two proportions. This procedure requires the Excel stat add-in. Excel itself does not perform hypothesis tests involving claims about two proportions. We will begin with the procedure for a hypothesis test, followed by the procedure for confidence intervals. For hypothesis tests, begin by clicking on the Excel Stat tab in the ribbon. If Excel Stat is not available, it must be installed. Instructions for installing Excel add-ins can be found at the website www.triolastats.com. Click the Parametric Tests button in the Excel Stat menu, and then select Tests for Two Proportions from the drop-down menu. The Tests for Two Proportions dialog box now appears in Excel. The blinking cursor indicates the input item that is currently selected. Click on any input item in the dialog box to select it, or press the Tab key to move to the next input item. Select the frequency and sample size boxes and enter the frequency or number of successes X and sample size for both samples. Proportions can also be used by selecting Proportions under Data Format in the lower left portion of the dialog box. In this example, Frequencies is selected, and for frequency 1 we enter 239. For sample size 1 we enter 2049. For frequency 2 we enter 9, and for sample size 2 we enter 550. Confirm that the z-test box is checked. Uncheck Continuity Correction and uncheck Monte Carlo method. Select Sheet to display the results on a new worksheet. Click the Options tab near the top of the dialog box. Under Alternative Hypothesis, select the desired type of test. For a two-tailed test, select the first option that includes does not equal D. For a left-tailed test, select the second option that includes less than D. And for a right-tailed test, select the third option that includes greater than D. In this example, we select the first option, proportion 1 minus proportion 2 does not equal D, for a two-tailed test. The selected option is highlighted in blue. For hypothesized difference, the default value of 0 is typically used. We use 0 in this example. Enter a value in the significance level box. The default value is 5 for a 0.05 significance level, and an entry of 5 corresponds to a 95% confidence level. Under Variance, select the second option beginning with PQ. Click OK and the results will be displayed. The test statistic is labeled Z observed value and the p-value is labeled p-value. In this example, the test statistic Z equals 7.107 and the p-value is less than 0.0001. Because the p-value is less than the significance level of 0.05, we reject the null hypothesis that the population proportions are equal. That is, there is sufficient evidence to conclude that Connecticut and New York have different proportions of cars with rear license plates only. For confidence intervals, we repeat the first part of the procedure for hypothesis tests. Click the Excel Stat tab in the ribbon, click Parametric Tests, and select Test for Two Proportions from the drop-down menu. In the Test for Two Proportions dialog box, enter the frequency and sample sizes for both populations, confirm the z-test box is checked, uncheck Continuity Correction and Monte Carlo method, and select Sheet. Click the Options tab near the top of the dialog box, and under Alternative Hypothesis, select the two-tailed option Proportion 1 minus Proportion 2 does not equal D. For hypothesized difference, the default value of 0 is typically used. We use 0 in this example. Enter a value in the significance level box. The default value is 5 for a 0.05 significance level. An entry of 5 corresponds to a 95% confidence level. Under Variance, select the first option, P1Q1 divided by N1 plus P2Q2 divided by N2. Click OK, and the confidence interval will be displayed in the results. In this example, the confidence interval has limits of 0.083 and 0.118. The confidence interval limits do not contain 0, implying that there is a significant difference between the two proportions. The confidence interval suggests that the value of proportion 1 is greater than the value of proportion 2, so there does appear to be sufficient evidence to warrant rejection of the claim that Connecticut and New York have the same proportion of cars with rear license plates only.